What's up, everybody? TJ here. Real quick before we get started with the episode, I'm testing out a new feature called Fan Mail, which is where you can actually text me from the episode that you're listening to. So as you're listening to this, go over to the episode description, and right there at the beginning, you're going to see some text that says, send me a text message. Go ahead, click that. Let me know what you think about the podcast so far. Let me know of any questions, concerns, anything you might have. I love to hear from you. So go ahead, hit that up. I'm excited to read your text, and let's get started with the episode.
You don't have to turn into some granola munching hippie who's going to cry at sunsets and hold hands and be a whole different person. That's not therapy. That's not what therapy and pushing yourself is going to do. It's going to help you be a better person, facing your demons, learning how to cope, learning how to communicate, how to be vulnerable and being open. It's going to allow you to be happy with who you are as a person and to process the shit that's happened to you so you can be a better person.
Welcome to the Keep the Promise podcast, where we help build resilient and well-rounded firefighters.
Your life experiences, what made you who you are, et cetera, impacts your outlook or your view of the world and what you do and yada, yada. So somebody who was, abused as a kid or had a hard time growing up or something like that kind of over-identifies themselves as wanting to protect children. So when they see a horrific call involving a child, that affects them way worse. Or they had this relationship or this happened to them as a child. So it really kind of exposed how, 4 people on a fire apparatus can go to a call, and 3 of them doesn't even phase them one bit. Wouldn't think anything of her, but one of the people on there, it might totally, shake their foundation because it's something that was tied to their life or that, they're mentally just impacted them more than others. At the time I was there was 45 people present at the center from all over from Hawaii to Florida to Massachusetts to Seattle. The thing that kind of got you was like, you could relate to pretty much everyone else's story. And the big unifying factor with everybody was the isolation, self-isolating. When they were going through this, they kept kind of pulling back from other people, not wanting to talk about it, trying to handle it on their own, and also working. Work was that. So the even though it was, it's the, weird dichotomy of work is the one place that makes sense to me, but it's also the thing that has caused these issues. It's that
which I love destroys me.
Right. So, we love going to fires. We love doing that stuff. It makes sense to us, even though it might be a whatever incident with, nuns and puppies jumping out of the second floor with a, fire tornado. All right, that makes sense. I'm going to lay out. He's going to hook up to the hydrant. We're going to pull it. I'm going to pull a line. We do A plus B plus C equals fire out, situation resolved. It's that outside of the fire department, that's where most of these issues kind of show themselves, where you don't have that order and that things that make sense and that familiarity to you. So like I remember I had said before I went in, one of the guys was like, oh, you just need to get back to work. That'll make you feel better. And I'm like, it's not work that bothers me. It's my days off that are, I'm freaking out. I haven't been back to work yet. I'm like, if I get back to work will be fine, but I'll still be messed up on my days off. So that's kind of what, another realization I had when I was there was, I think it was like 3 weeks into it when I was laying in bed, getting ready for a normal person's sleep again, that I was like, this was like the first time in 18 years I had spent like pretty much any time, like, since I was 16, that I hadn't been in a firehouse, responding to calls or doing something for, more than, it was like my first time I had like 3 weeks off that I wasn't in a firehouse, getting interrupted sleep, going on calls, helping other people, in 18 years.
Wow.
And it's like a weird, it's a weird feeling because it feels selfish. again, because what draws a lot of people to fire service is helping other people and doing stuff and putting others first. And, the people come before me, all this stuff. And it's like, it's just it's kind of like a selfish feeling to put yourself first. And, some of the good, like, phrases and sayings and stuff like that is like, the airplane rule, right? Like, hey, when a little oxygen mask drop down, what do they tell you? You got to put the mask on yourself first before you help other people. And the reason you have to do that is because if you don't put it on, you're going to drop out and you're not going to be able to help anybody. Hey, and it's like, oh, yeah, I guess that's right. And it's just, like most people who are like the go-to person, help everybody out, do all that stuff. It's like they're never really checking in on themselves. They're worried about everyone else and making other people happy and being a people pleaser and, that kind of stuff. Or, it's just one of them things that, like, therapy and like the center is kind of taking the center in like doing like medication and stuff is like putting a wagon pipe in service to knock the bulk of the fire down, to calm shit down. Therapy is, they can hump hose at the door or the corner to help you, but they're not on the nozzle. They can't put it out. It's you kicking a door, and it's the halogen bar sitting on the truck. Like, it's a tool to help you get in that door. The halogen bar is not going to open the door. You have to do it, but it's a tool to get you to open the door. I think a lot of people struggled with COVID because when we had all the shutdowns and everything, because there wasn't a bar to go to. There wasn't a sporting event to go to. There wasn't a distraction every day and every weekend, and being forced to sit with yourself and do a little introspection really freaked a lot of people out.
I mean, it is scary.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's facing your own self in the mirror is one of the harder things you have to do. So, like, that's where the mentality or the idea that, like, oh, he's going to therapy, he's taking the easy way, he's not being a man. It's like, no, it's fucking difficult to address your own issues and your own problems. Like, that's, facing your own demons is not an easy fight to take on. And people can help you, but you still got to do it yourself. Like, and that's where, like that victim mentality really, it pisses me off to a degree. And it's like, I get it. Like, so like, you have no say in whether you are a victim, whether you're going to get somebody, stab you, or somebody runs a car into you, or, whatever. You don't have any say in it. Something bad happened. It happened to you. You are a victim. Choosing to be a victim is completely a choice, in my opinion. Like, you can let it, and I got to give credit to my buddy, Mark Little, Army, I think he was a captain when it happened, but he got IED explosion, double amputee. So when I was going through my stuff, I asked him, I hit him up, and, he gave me some good advice on everything about how, like, hey, it's a bad thing. It happened to you. Nothing you can do about it. But you have to choose to grow from it and take that on as a new, like, overcoming it is your new objective. He's like, if you heard there was a house on fire with somebody inside, you wouldn't just go up and grab the door, and if it's locked, be like, oh, I tried, and walk away. You would do whatever you had to get inside. He's like, you have to make, overcoming this issue your sole focus. And he's like, you're very mission driven, fire department, like the military, you're very mission driven. You have to make that your objective, is to hell or high water, I'm going to overcome this. He's like, if you let that incident or what's going on with you define you, it will defeat you. Because the people that play into the victim card and wallow in self-pity and woe is me are never going to get out of it. They're going to accept, he's like, people use I have PTSD, that's why I'm an asshole thing as an excuse. And he's like, it's a fucking bullshit excuse. Like, you're just an asshole. Like, you're not pushing yourself to grow from it and be better. You're just using that as a crutch to excuse you not, pushing yourself forward.
And growth takes work. Growth, be it like on whatever spot you are in life, be it trying to recover from trauma or just trying to grow as a person under perfect conditions, it takes work. It is a lot. It's facing those demons in the mirror, and it could be scary demons, or it could be like, hey, I'm not the person I want to be.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort.
Well, a lot of it is, there's a lot of the problem is ego in the fire department. Guys, and that's what I loved so much about the IAFF Center was, everyone, everybody, again, this gets into some of this kind of granola munching hippie shit about like, everybody wears a mask and, what you try to show as who you are and the image you want to have and all that. Everybody dropped that shit. There was no like, oh, I'm a tougher fireman than you and I'm more aggressive and I'm a saltier, I got more. Everyone just dropped the fucking tough guy act. Everybody realized, hey, we're all here, we're all fucked up, and we're here to get better. So everybody kind of leaned on each other, and was, the communication between, people from, all over the country with different departments and experiences. Like, we all had that same common factor. Hey, we're admitting we're fucked up. We're admitting we're here. And you were, able to kind of help each other out to get through it. And, there's so much of that in the fire service of like pretending that you have to always be, I started out, and, I'm sure you're familiar, kind of that same era of suck it up, don't be a pussy, we just move on from it, joke about it and stuff it down and, move on. And, stuffing things down is a great solution until it's not. Same thing, coming back from my buddy Mark was, when I was telling him about like, dude, I'm freaking out. I can't go in the fucking grocery store. What's going on with me? And I figured, he does a lot of stuff with the veteran community and the charities and stuff like that. And, kind of helped him with his mission. Getting better was also helping other people. But, he explained it to me. He's like, I'm not a psychologist or whatever. He's like, so this is just my bullshit thing. But he's like, when you're deployed in combat, taking bullets, he's like, you don't have time to think about stuff, hey, your friend gets shot, something bad happens, you see something bad, whatever. You just put it on the shelf. It's a bad thing. I'll deal with it another day. I got something I got to do. All right. The next day, something bad happened. A wife calls and says she's divorcing you. I don't have time to deal with this. I'm in the middle of something. I'm going to shelve this. I'm going to shelve this. I'm going to shelve this. And, 6 months later, when you get back and you're not getting shot at and you're not on the mission and you're not doing something, all that stuff you put on the shelf comes back, and it brings all the brain chemicals along with it. So when that dam does open up, and that cumulative, if you haven't addressed it over the years, when that cumulative aspect of all that trauma hits, it's going to bring all those brain chemicals, and your amygdala fight or flight response is going to go fucking haywire. And that's, what left me sitting there freaking out about the cashier at the grocery store. Like, I'm just sitting there in the panic, like, I know she's not a threat. I know she's not going to murder me, but I can't walk over there, because your brain is just that you can't
it's on fritz.
Yeah. When it's like on the fucking, fritz like that, you can't overcome, you can, there's stuff you learn to cope with it and help and, calm it down and do stuff. But in that moment, it's just like, that nice little sweet old lady right there, my brain is telling me she's going to pull a knife out and shank me. I can't walk over. It's just like,
she could.
There's always
she's
that
probably gangsta.
Yeah, there's always that possibility. But and you're saying it's just like that's, when all those bad days hit that you stuffed down, all it's done is sat there and festered and gotten worse and worse and blows everything up. So one of the guys who came in on the weekends at the center, he was really cool. I liked him. He kind of laid it out to everybody because it was a weekend. It was a little more low key. But his thing was like, look, you don't have to turn into some, granola munching hippie who's going to cry at sunsets and hold hands and, be a whole different person. That's not what therapy, that's not what facing your demons, learning how to cope, learning how to communicate, how to be vulnerable and being open. That's not what therapy and pushing yourself is going to do. It's going to help you be a better person in general. He's like, it's not going to turn you into someone else. It's going to allow you to be happy, kind of be basically just happier with who you are as a person and to process the shit that's happened to you so you can be a better person. Like I remember my lieutenant at the time, he had told me later on, he's like, yeah, I was worried when you went in there that you were going to come out and be some liberal or whatever, some crying about stuff. And I was like, he's like, but that didn't seem to affect you, so that's good. It's like, all right, I get it.
Trying to fix my brain, bro.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was great. He, and that, it's been, I don't know if you got officers and stuff that listen to you, like, he was, that really helped having a officer who, old school guy. He, I think he was 26, 27 years at the time. But he's like, look, I don't understand any of this stuff, but whatever, I'll be there with you. We'll figure it out together. When I told him I was going in, he said, don't worry, I got the department side handled. He, he drove to the chief of the clinic's house to tell him, and called him in his driveway to tell him, hey, my guy is off on sick leave. He's not showing up to your stupid clinic. He's here. If you have a problem with it, call me. But put him on sick leave until he gets out, and then I'll have him come in there, and then he can deal with you. And I was like, holy shit, but having that person go into bat for you really kind of makes you not worry about oh, fuck, am I going to lose my job? Whatever. It takes that little fear off. Hey, you got somebody who's, taking care of that stuff for you.
Yeah, that support system is so key because you mentioned it, and I was going to ask you about that fear of what am I going to have? Am I going to have more pieces to pick up when I leave? Knowing that you are taken care of while you are taking care of yourself gives you not just that permission mentally, but that space to grow, to improve, and to actually come out as a better person in the long run. And this actually goes perfectly into something that I wanted to ask you, because mental health and mental well-being is not a finite game, meaning it doesn't just stop, right? It is a constant, every day. It could be a struggle, but it is something that you have to take care of every single day. Can you give me 2-3 techniques, practices, things that you learned at the center that you still do every day or every week or every month to just take care of yourself?
So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of avenues you can get into. I know some of the things that really right out of the gate, one of the most helpful things for me was journaling. I mean, you can get a template, online. You can buy a journal that has prompts in it and stuff. But I'm a very I don't know, I just call it logic driven person. So being able to have a journal and write stuff out, it helps get it out of your brain and on the paper, and you can kind of evaluate yourself. I remember when I was sitting there day 2 or whatever, and one of the therapist people had given me this, hey, this is the thing, if you want to do your journal thing. And it was all right, question 1. All right, is this a life or death emergency? All right, no. All right, if your best friend came to you and said they were having this issue, what would you tell them? I don't know, I'd tell them hey, you're in a good spot. There's people who support you. They're trying to help you. It's not a big deal. Whatever. All right. If your 6-year-old niece came and asked you and told you they were having this issue, how would you tell them? Well, you tell them, oh, it's no big deal, and people have problems, and whatever. All right, cool. So why aren't you talking to yourself the same way that you would talk to a close friend? Why are you being so hard on yourself? That self-talk too is a big one, where as we get older, our self-talk stops going from, like the one little meme about like, oh, be like a kid with a 6-year-old in a Batman costume or whatever.
Right. Believe that you can do anything.
Yeah. Like you go from like that to, all right, once you start hitting high school, you get a little more critical of yourself and trying to be cool and, worried about this person likes you or whatever. And then you start getting older. It's like, all right, am I good enough? Employee? Am I good enough boyfriend? Am I good enough, girlfriend or whatever? Am I, whatever? Am I, and you just like your self-talk just becomes nothing but critical. Like, and sure, it's good to be hard on yourself. It's good to, hey, make sure, try to keep yourself, but you should also be your own biggest cheerleader and your own biggest fan. And like that was something, teaching that confidence class, that was one of the things I'd always tell, and like even the rookies and stuff was like, hey, if you don't believe in yourself, then why the fuck should anybody else believe in you?
Hey friends, I want to take a quick moment to ask you to support the show by leaving a rating and a review on your favorite platform. Your support means the world to us, and it helps spread the message to even more people. We've gotten thousands and thousands of listeners, and those high ratings help our show become more discoverable, allowing us to reach even more listeners and make an even greater impact. So, if you've enjoyed what you heard so far, please take a moment to leave a rating and a review. It only takes a few seconds, and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the show.
Like, and it's, just for like confidence aspect of like, hey, you got to believe in yourself, because if you don't, then why should I? Like, so, to kind of like reinforce that. And like one of the books I read it was silly as shit, but it actually kind of worked. It said, tell yourself you love yourself like 12 times a day for like 2 weeks. Like brushing your teeth. Man, I fucking love myself. Sitting in traffic. Man, I fucking love myself. And, it's like, and the theory of it is, hey, if you tell yourself something long enough, you'll start believing it again. Mm-hmm. And I was like, So, it actually kind of like, by the end of it, like, what? I'm not that bad. Right. Like it kind of like makes you think like, all right, let's it just improves your mental outlook a little better. But like that positive, there's, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, go ahead.
There's some scientific explanation or term like ocular peripheral, I don't know, some science shit. But it's basically, it's like, hey, if you're, the theory is like, hey, if I'm thinking about buying a red car.
Oh, yeah.
All you're going to see is red cars because your brain is actively like, hey, I want to buy a red car. Oh, there's a red car. Oh, there's a red car. Oh, man, I like that red car. So it really goes into the guys that sit around the firehouse and bitch and moan about everything, every time you got to do a drill, every time you got a call, every time something happens, every time the rookie doesn't mop all the spot, everything. They are actively looking for something to bitch about and be miserable about every fucking day. That's their whole mentality is I am actively looking for shit to complain about. And that's a terrible way to fucking go about life. Like, I had one of my conversations before I came back to duty with my therapist was like, I'm not sure if I want to do this anymore. I've done it for 18 years. I don't know. I could do something else, but, I kind of, we sat and did a pros and cons and I was like, all right, I'm not exempt from never seeing bad shit again or doing whatever. At least if I'm at work, I can still be involved and do something to help people. But, I came back out with a very strong focus on, all right, so like one of the things when I left the center and was taking time before I came back to duty, I helped with a recruit class down at the training academy and, kind of was figuring my own shit out, but also helping with them and just being around a bunch of young, I'd say young, I'm not like I'm older. I guess I kind of am older.
Well, young within the department.
Yeah, but like, so like dealing with people who are like super excited to be there and super excited to learn and, just it kind of like helped me reignite that spark about like just being around motivated people. The officer corps that was down there teaching were all solid dudes. Had some good conversations with them and, it's like they're solid dudes and absolutely zero judgment from any of them with the mental health stuff. And they actually kind of open up to me about, oh yeah, I've seen a therapist, or hey, yeah, shit, that fire we had, 8 years ago I was on with you. Like I still think about, the bloody paw prints from that dog that we came out, and that just sticks in my head. Or, man, I had this call where it wasn't even a bad call. It was just, it fucked me up that, thinking about those little kids in that apartment that have a mattress on the floor with a bunch of trash sitting around. They think that's life, and that just messed with me. I got off duty and took my kids to Disney World the next day. Like, and like the amount of people while I was in that time frame that kind of pulled me aside and said, hey, I take this medication, or, oh yeah, I see a therapist. Which one do you go to? Or, what pill are you on? Or, oh man, yeah, I went here, hey, 12 years ago I did that. And it's just like, what the fuck? Like,
right, you don't feel alone anymore.
Yeah. But it's just like, I'm sitting there the whole time thinking like, fuck, I had this, you're mentally like, I'm broken. I'm uniquely broken. Everyone else around me is excelling. They're doing awesome. They got their shit together. Nothing bothers them. Why am I fucked up? I must not be able to, I must be weak, or I can't handle this, or, they're going to look at me as like, oh, you're fucked up. And like being open about it, people are like, oh yeah, me too. It's like, the fuck? And you like realize that like, shit, everybody's, fucking 90% of the department are taking a medication or see a therapist or have been through some issues and can relate. And it's like this like huge, like secret club for some reason that's secret, but it's most of the people are in.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I do my therapist, like I still see him like once every 6 months or something. Or 6 weeks, or I don't know, whatever. We just every once in a while check in just to kind of keep it on the books, because when I first came out, I was like every week, and then it came like every other week, and then it was like, hey, once a month, and now it's like once every 2 months. Yeah, but for me, it's pretty much just a bullshit session now. Like I don't really have a lot of stuff pressing to tell them or to ask or to, because you learn the tools on your own, right? Like they teach you kind of how to process shit. Like when I would get, after the center, like when I would get anxious, it might take like 2-3 days to kind of calm that nervous system down. Then it took a day, then it took a couple hours, then it took a couple minutes. And now it's just kind of like, all right. And like, it's kind of weird for me to relearn, hey, it's okay to be anxious. Like, this is a natural human thing. Your brain's trying to help you. Like, hey, I'm going on a date. Hey, you normally would be nervous about that. Don't freak out, dude. Like,
and it's got to feel good seeing that progression that you talked about, just talking to a therapist every so often to more sporadically, and also like you talked about, like becoming anxious and taking a couple days, a couple hours, a couple minutes. Like that is further reinforcement of like, I am using the tools correctly. I am on the right path. I am constantly growing and improving while still being respectful and being graceful to what you went through to get to that point, to the instances that led you to get help and to learn and grow as a person.
Yeah. And like, like I say, when I was at the center, or when I was at the academy after the center, I spent a lot of time like the instructor trailer. It's kind of like where, all the cool kids hang out, and like whenever companies come down to the drill, a couple guys stop in, and you kind of get to hear like every dumb thing that's happening, every holy shit, did you hear about this guy? So I mean, it was fun, but like the moment that kind of got me was, about a month into that, when I was sitting there and like I think I like cracked a joke at somebody and was laughing, and one of the guys, one good friend of mine, is a captain now, Tony White. He told me like, "Hey man, it's good to have you back." But it was, I've been sitting near him for 3 weeks, but that was the first time like I was back. Like he was like, and it kind of hit me because it was like the first time I was like, had kind of calmed down and just, all right, back to norm. And like, I mean, that's something else too from the center that I learned was, you don't want to get back to normal. That's a bad thing to aspire to. getting back to normal means back to whatever got you in that position in the first place. You don't want to go back to baseline. You want to be better than you were to avoid the issues you're going through. You want to be a better person than you were. Hey, you have an alcohol problem or whatever, and I just want to get back to normal. And it's like, well, normal led you to where you're at now, right? Dude. So you don't want to be normal. You want to be better than you were. So it's always kind of aspiring to try to be a little better, and kind of circling back to kind of one of the very first things we talked about, my buddy from the squad who was open about his thing. So that's why I kind of felt obligated that I needed to be open about my stuff, because, hey, I'm not the seniorest guy on the job, and, hey, not everybody might like me, but I don't give a shit. Hey, some people do, or maybe some guys see, oh, this guy, oh, you hear about that? Kind of hopefully to kind of be an example of hey, it's not the end of the world to go get help, to be gone for about 2 months, getting mental health. And, I'm back driving a ladder truck, going to fires, helping teach. Been doing it for a few, back for 2-3 years now or whatever. And a lot of people think that it's you're raising the flag that you're done and everyone's going to blackball you. And there's no way, if I hit that pass alarm, that's it. Everybody's going to know that, and it's people don't really give a shit. People care. More people than you would think about, give a shit. The other kind of mental thing that is a constant daily, thing to work on, I guess you should say, is that, I don't give a fuck mentality, or I don't give a shit, whatever. I don't know if we're keep the promises a
dude. Have you missed me cursing most of this episode?
Yeah, but that I don't give a fuck mentality is it's easy to say, right? It's easy to think you're in that mentality, but the I don't give a fuck mentality takes work, because it's you becoming confident in who you are as a person, and not giving a shit what someone else thinks about you. Or I forget the dude's name. This one motivational thing that I listened to is the 10 most dangerous words in the English language are, what will other people say and what will other people think? Because it doesn't matter.
Right.
Your opinion of yourself, and if you can lay your head on the pillow at night and go to sleep and be happy with who you are, doesn't matter. Oh, did you hear this guy talk shit about you? I don't care. Doesn't bother me.
One that I heard, and on that same vein, is that if you're concerned so much about what somebody might be thinking or saying about you, start zooming out. Get on your phone, zoom out of your city and your state and your country. And pretty soon you're going to be just watching the whole earth. And if you can keep zooming out far enough, we're just a speck of dust in a galaxy. Right. What that person is thinking does not matter at all.
Yeah, and it also, kind of reinforcing about, the ego problem in the fire department. It's oh, I'm from station 500. You're from fucking station 300, loser. It's nobody gives a shit other than you and your department. Nobody cares.
Right. In the grand scheme of things, go outside the fire service and tell somebody at, I don't know, a conference or somewhere, be I'm from this station. To be what does that mean?
Right.
To me.
Well, and like me and you, both had to, have some friends and had done the GoRuck stuff, and, know guys who are, Green Berets and Special Forces and all. And they'll even tell you, it's when they get out and they're, go for a job interview and they're oh, I was a Green Beret. They're all right, that's cool. So the next thing is right. they don't give a shit. And
it's not some magic key that's going to open everything up.
Yeah. Like my last lieutenant was saying something about how he's, he used to be an engine driver, and he was at the bar with his friends or whatever, but he's all pissed off because they had some fire or something, and he's fucking, engine whatever, they fucking beat us in, and he was being an asshole, and they didn't charge my line, and they think they're so fucking good, and like the friend of his was like, what the fuck is an engine whatever? And he's like, well, there's this firehouse, and they think they're cool, and he's like, all right, that's cool, I guess, like, and like he said it kind of like hit him like, yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Like,
once it's over, bro.
Yeah. It's like, we get so caught up in this, like, I'm a fucking tough guy fireman who's got a salty mustache and aggressive, and I'm in a biker gang, and whatever. And I have this like pristine image like of like how I'm a badass, like. People would like razz us because like we did like yoga at our firehouse. Like, you pussies. And it's like, guess what? My back doesn't hurt, buddy.
Right.
Have fun. Like we're hanging out watching.
Enjoy your painkillers.
Yeah, we're hanging out watching a hot chick do yoga, making us laugh and stretching. We're going to fucking play with a pony, enjoy the sunshine. Like, what are you doing? Sitting around watching TV, bitching about how everybody sucks.
Right.
Like,
Talking about the fire service. Like, come on.
Yeah, like it's like, or I got something that like kind of messed with some younger guys, like because when they would, we had access to this like 4-story hotel that was abandoned for like 3 years. So like every tour, we were over there throwing ladders, doing shit, and we'd get like a probationer and be like, "Hey, try this out." And he's like, "Oh, well, yeah." And I'm like, "Dude, I don't give a shit if you drop the ladder. I'm not calling your firehouse and telling them that, oh, this fucking rookie, whatever." And it's like, I've dropped one. The lieutenant's drop on. We try shit out. If you're not pushing yourself to try something out of your comfort zone, you're not going to grow. So, like that's another like the ego problem in the fire department is guys are like, feel like, oh, if I got 10 years on,
I can't mess up.
People expect me to know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to hide in the back and not do the drill so they can't see that I don't know what I'm doing. And that just builds that, makes them like, that to me is like the most dangerous guy, not the new guy, the guy who has kind of hid in the back for a long time and should know better, but is the first one to yell at somebody or, hey, go rookie, why don't you go throw a ladder? Like not like out there with them. It's an interesting one.
Here's something that I want to talk about next, because it's so important when we talk about not making this whole job our identity and our sole identity. Hang out with Nutmeg, that got you into horseback riding, right?
Well, no. So growing up, grew up on a dairy farm. I had a quarter horse growing up. I was in 4-H fairs. Did some riding way back then.
Wow, that is the most northern Harford County thing I've heard come out of your mouth.
Yep, and I hadn't ridden in quite a while, but a friend of mine would always let me kind of hang out and ride her one horse. But I was just kind of plopping around while she was, dealing with her other one. And then finally I was just like, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to take up riding lessons again. So she hooked me up with somebody, and, I go like every week, and it's, the first time I went, I'm like, done it before, but treat me like I'm every other 4-year-old coming here for a horse lesson and just start from scratch. And, it's been really cool because, like I said, I've been doing firefighting for however many years and, teaching at the academy and doing stuff, and being a student, and it also helps a lot because like I've learned to drop the ego and drop worrying about not looking like, so like I've got no problem like when she yells at me or tells me to do something or saying like, raising my hand, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, or like even at work, like when we do a drill, like I'm the first one to raise my hand and be like, say that again, because I didn't hear you, or what the fuck are you talking about? Because, nobody wants to be that guy in the class, but it's like, or, like I was, one thing I tell people, I shouldn't really tell people, but like when I'm dealing with a new guy or a detail guy, detail probation or whatever, and hey, we're going over ladders. Like I purposely fuck up the first ladder. Fumble it, mess up while I'm doing while I'm doing it, and to right off the bat, so he can see, shit happens, man. Let me adjust it, get it back. All right, cool. So hey, you just gotta play with it, man. It's okay to make mistakes. Just to kind of take that edge off of him about worrying about making a mistake in front of the driver, whatever. So it's like sets that standard of like,
Love that.
hey man, it's cool. We all make mistakes. You know, like pretending that you don't mess up is fucking stupid. But anyway, getting back to horses. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I want to be able to throw a lasso off a horse. That's my goal. And, you know, it's just like, it's fun. Like, I don't know, I'm not going to be on, you know, Yellowstone or anything, but like, you know, apocalypse planning, hey, I can ride a horse.
Did you figure it out? Can you lasso something off a horse yet?
As long as it's a 50-gallon barrel and the horse isn't going super fast, I can handle it. But nah, it's been fun, man. Like it you know, and it actually is weirdly tied to mental health, because, you know, horsemanship is what so it's not riding lessons, it's horsemanship lessons.
Okay.
So she spends a lot of time, and you learn, like, you know, horses are a prey animal. They're scared of fucking everything. They also can like read your heartbeat from like 4 feet away or something. They can tell if you're freaking out, because if they can like tell your heart's beating fast, they're going to start freaking out and think, oh shit, somebody's trying to eat him, so we should both run.
Wow.
Yeah. And it, you know, teaches it. So it's kind of weirdly a lot of similarities with like cognitive behavioral therapy. So that's like, hey, this horse is scared about this. You know, it's scared of a noise. So do the thing, you know, whip the thing around and do it until you see the horse like kind of calm down, or after 10 seconds, pet him and tell him it's okay. All right, now switch to the other side. You know, do that. Hey, if they calm down, stop, pet them. If they don't, after 10 seconds, stop, pet them. Like, show them that it's okay to be around that. And then, like, you know, communication stuff, it's a lot of like your body language, the way you're facing them, the way you're presenting yourself, like learning to, like, you know, because it's a silent partner you're working with, and they feed off of your body, you know, your body position, your, you know, the way you're moving, the way you're talking to them. So it really kind of helps with like, all right, you really got to kind of think a little more about how you're talking to somebody, or how you're presenting yourself when you're with them, or keeping that calm, level-headed. Even though you want to punch them in the face, you gotta stay calm and level-headed. And it's just been a good, you know, environment, you know, hanging out with some people, and, you know, photography and stuff.
I was going to say, that was my next question.
Gives me a good outlet to stop by horse shows and practice taking pictures and stuff. And, you know, that was another good outlet after the center, was photography, taking pictures, and, you know, kind of reinforcing, helping to, you know, or like one of the things like with the mental health stuff about grounding, about like, hey, stop worrying about what happened or what might happen. Just, you're here right now. Enjoy it. So, like, you know, a big one I do, especially this time of year as it gets dark early, is, you know, like I try to take in the sunset, you know, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, just sit there with a camera, you know, enjoy the birds chirping, the wind blowing, watch the colors change, just kind of be in that moment. Don't be stressing about other shit. And like, and I know that's hard for people, you know, if you get family and kids and side work and all this other stuff, but like, you know, if you can carve, you know, 5 minutes out of your day to just do something for yourself, that's like your little happy place. Like, the other one was like meditation. So I can't do meditation in the sense of like imagine you're in your happy place on a sandy beach, and, you know, and there's
I'm imagining that right now, dude.
Right, you know, there's a warm glow filling your body, and I'm like, that I can close my eye. That doesn't mean shit to me. So for me, for meditation is, again, I'm an idiot truck driver, so I pretty much would just do like hey, lay on the ground, put some chill music on, and do breathing exercises. So like I would do like kind of like box breathing ish, where, you know, I'm gonna count in my head through my nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, pushing out, you know, pushing your stomach towards your spine, like really diaphragm, blowing it out of your mouth. like 7 seconds. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just kind of keep doing that. And then as you're doing it, oh, fuck, did I forget to do this? Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I'm thinking, let me get back to what I was doing. Let me start over again. In through my nose, 1, 2. So, like, meditation isn't like you're devoid of thoughts and you're not thinking of anything with this happy little meadow with a tree. It's not thinking about other shit. It's thinking about what you're doing in the moment you're in. I'm laying on the floor right now. My hands touching the thing. I'm breathing,
being present,
breathing through my nose. I'm listening to the bird. You know, like, you're not thinking about all the other shit you have to do. So, like, you know, and there's some study that, like, I think it's like 5 or 10 minutes of meditation for like 30 days, like, shrinks your amygdala a lot. So, like, that was a big one I was working on, because mine was like so like inflamed, was the meditation and calming that nervous system, so it kind of would actually shrink that amygdala, so it made it harder to do whatever. Another one for that was like when I was kind of like the Wegmans going through there, was to like walk down the aisle. If I was like kind of freaking out, I would look at the prices of stuff. And again, I'm an idiot, so it was simple arithmetic, but it was like, all right, that's 135. So 1 plus 3 equals 4 plus 5 equals 9. All right, you know, so like it was making your whatever part of your brain think, cognitive, whatever.
Is that the prefrontal cortex? I don't know.
All right, whatever fucking nerd term you want to say, but
I don't know.
Right, but what it did was it draws blood from that amygdala area up to your thinking part of your brain. So, like, that's where, like, engaging in something, if you're, you know, in a book, they also have an audio book, but they also have an app, Dare by Barry McDonough. Audiobook's really cool because he's like Irish, so he's like, oh, I tell you, laddie, what you doing? It's like, I fucking loved it. I was like, this guy's awesome. But that was probably the most beneficial for me for any kind of anxiety stuff, and he covers like every kind of thing you could think of. He literally has like a little, like, hey, this is how you should deal with that. Hey, this is what to do. But the process in it was very, very focused, and I think would identify with most firemen is you're not trying to find your happy place and calm down and, you know, whatever. It's fuck this. I'm tired of it. I'm going to address it. Like, oh shit, I'm getting worked up. Hey, this is just my anxiety. All right, fuck that. Keep, you know, like, hey, like if somebody has like my heart's beating really fast. Oh shit, I'm getting anxious about this. My heart's beating. And it's like, all right, that's because I'm anxious. Fuck it. Keep beating. Beat out of my chest. I don't give a shit. Put me in a cardiac arrest. And, like, you know, challenging it. Like the one thing that really, really sold me in that book was he quoted, or, you know, had a reference to Forrest Gump with Lieutenant Dan up in the crow's nest.
Oh yeah.
During the hurricane, where he's, you know, up there in his, you know, American flag bandana, screaming at the storm, like, you call this a storm? Bring it, you know, screaming at it. And then, like, the next scene, he's, you know, wading in the calm, cool waters, and and that's what he was saying about, hey, you know, when your brain is freaking out, you have to run towards it and challenge it. And, so, you know, like, because anxiety is, you know, we're still operating, we still have caveman software in our head. So we're still thinking saber-tooth tiger. We got to run. We got to fight it. And modern day social media, news, everything, we're so overloaded that it doesn't know how to handle modern society. And when it's just being overprotective.
Right.
So, like, one of the things I had, like, you know, again, I'm kind of a visual guy, and I'd like to do dumb shit. So I found this little image online. It was a little, like, paper bag that somebody, like, some little kid's art project that was like a tiger. So it was like a little paper bag tiger, like, you know, it was a little dumb looking tiger. Right. And actually, like, printed it out color, laminated it, and, like, had it in my pocket. Because, yeah, it's like, hey, you know, anxiety is a paper tiger. It's telling you, holy fuck, there's a saber-tooth tiger, but it's just a piece of paper. So I would kind of, like, look at that to remind myself, like, hey, there's no fucking tiger. It's pretend. calm down. You're not in danger.
I love that.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it and send you a picture.
It might be the show cover.
But but it was just, like little shit like that. And then it was just like, there's a hair thin line between being excited about something and being terrified of it. So the analogy is like going to a haunted house this time of year, going to a haunted house. Oh man, we're gonna get in there, we're gonna get scared. Oh shit,
Right.
they scared me. Like, hey, you're excited of it, it's gonna be like, or like a roller coaster, like, woo. But it's just, there's such a thin line between like absolutely legitimately terrified and like, woohoo, it's gonna be fun. So like, if you're like, fuck it, I'm excited about this, let's do it, and you like kind of force your brain to back down. Like, so it's not, I need to calm down and just ride the wave and do it. It's like, fuck you, bring it on, brain. And you actually make your brain be like, this motherfucker's not playing. Like, I've given him every warning signal I can. Right. He's still going for it. All right, we better back off because nothing's happening. And so like, I think that was like such a great system for somebody who's like, a fire department, kind of a type A, whatever kind of person where, fuck it, I'm going for it. And like, another part of that book was, setbacks are part of the cure. If you're not having setbacks, you are not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and you're not growing. And that is so important because like, hey, you start doing good and then a month later something happens and like, fuck, I'm back to square one, everything. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, nah, man, like avoidance is not solving your problem. If I had a really bad fire, or I had a bad fire, or I had a really bad accident on this street, and I just avoided ever going on that street again. I didn't overcome that problem. I've just avoided it and never dealt with it. So like you have to drive down that street. You're not going to keep going out of your way 5 miles just to avoid facing that problem. You have to push yourself to deal with that problem. That's where growth comes from, that friction and that pushing yourself forward and getting better.
I dig it.
Bet.
Now, a question that I didn't hand you beforehand. This is one that I'd like to end with. What failure do you cherish the most?
That's a tough one because I fuck up a lot.
Means you got a lot to pick from.
Oh yeah, it's hard to rank them. Failure. Just kind of like what I said just a minute ago was, hey, if you're not fucking things up and screwing up, then you're not trying. If you're just staying in that lane of comfort zone and doing the one drill that you're really good at every time, all right, great, but you're not growing. You're just doing the same thing over and over. I would have to probably say fucking up on the driver exam, because that was like, fuck, do I really want to put myself through another 3 months of studying and sacrificing and doing that for this goal? And I kind of made a deal with myself that, all right, and like I've told other guys this who've messed up on a test, like, hey, you get today to beat yourself up and feel shitty about it. Tomorrow you start studying again. Like, give yourself that freedom to beat yourself up and feel like a piece of shit and whatever, but the next day, don't unpack your bags and live in that. The difference between a fuck up and being a fuck up is consistency.
Normally, I have some witty thing to say after each episode, but I'm still floored by Dave's ability to share so openly and so candidly and to make it so relatable, because we've all been there. We've all experienced similar situations as him, and it's so important to celebrate those folks who go out there and get help and get better, and they serve as beacons of light, right? That's one of the things that we get so angry about trying to fix mental health issues within the fire service, is that we always mourn the losses, but we never celebrate the victories. We should have those people who have survived, who have fought through, as role models, as those people to look up to say, hey, it was bad, but it can get better. So I'm honored that Dave took the time to do this. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure you did. It's just awesome. It's great being able to share his story with the community. One of the things that I wanted to do from the moment I started this entire endeavor. And I'm thankful. I'll have him back at some point. Maybe we can talk about truck stuff, because he's still mad at me that I called him a firefighter and not a truck driver or technician or whatever DC calls him. But, truck guys are divas, pretty big divas. It doesn't matter where you are. They're just always, complaining about not having access to the front of the building, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, now that I pissed off every truckie known to man, let's switch gears to our Patreon shoutouts. If you are new here, you may not know that at the end of every episode, we give a special shout out to those folks who have joined the Patreon community for Keep the Promise, where we have daily workouts, weekly mantras, motivational things. It could be posts, it could be videos, and just a host of other exclusive content that nobody else gets access to. They also got access very early on to the online store and wiped out a bunch of the patch and sticker collection. So, if you like swag, that's another upside of being part of the community. Without further ado, special shout out goes out to Louie from Colorado Springs, Colorado, Steven from Friendswood, Texas, Zach from Racine, Wisconsin, William from Hayden, Idaho, Cooper from Evergreen, Colorado, Brock from Augusta, Kansas, Kale from Tracy, Iowa, Max from Fairhaven, Massachusetts. Fairhaven. How is that the one that trips me up? Anyway, Trevor from Staten, Oregon, Lloyd from Muir, Pennsylvania, Matt from Homer, Georgia, and Marcus from Moreno Valley, California. You guys are awesome. Thank you for believing in the community and joining. You're getting a ton of value. Before you go, again, thank you for listening to this. Don't forget to check out the Engine Bay Fitness program that's out there for free. Go to enginebayfitness.com. 28 days worth of workouts, 28 days worth of warm-ups, nutrition tips, so on and so forth. It's meant to get you started into that firehouse fitness routine. Whether you're just starting out, whether you're falling off the wagon, you need a little help, or you just want some extra creativity for your workouts, it's there. It's faux free. Drop your email. You get it in return. Done. And also, if you have not checked out the online store yet, do so. Got a bunch of hoodies, especially now that the weather's getting colder for most of us. KeepThePromiseFire.com. You can get all the stuff, stickers, patches, whatever your heart desires. Again, folks, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. I appreciate each and every single one of you. Please be safe. Stay aggressive. I'll catch you next time. Hey, everyone. It's TJ here from Keep the Promise. As you know, this podcast is all about helping firefighters become more resilient and well-rounded so that they can be a force for good within their fire department and their community. But today, I want to talk to you about something that's just as important, and that is supporting firefighters who are going through tough times. When one of our fellow firefighters is off work because they have to go to the Center for Excellence, they have to go to rehab, they have mental health issues, or they have other health issues, it really takes away their support system and it wreaks havoc on their finances and their family's finances. And many times, these brothers and sisters are left to struggle alone away from their support system and the people who love them without the resources they need to recover. That's why I'm setting a bold new goal. That is to reach 150 total patrons on Patreon so that we can start a fund to help firefighters and their families during these challenging times. And I need your help to make it happen. With your support on Patreon, we'll be able to provide financial assistance to firefighter families who are battling things like addiction, depression, and cancer. We're going to help alleviate the financial strain that can come with being away from the fire department so that our brothers and sisters can focus on healing and recovering. Now, reaching 150 total patrons is a big goal, but I believe that we can do it together. And when we do, we'll be able to make a real difference in the lives of those who serve and protect alongside us. So, if you're not already a patron, I invite you to join us today. Head over to joinkeepthepromise.com and sign up today. Again, that is joinkeepthepromise.com. And if you already are a patron, thank you so much for your support. You'll be receiving some exclusive rewards and perks as a way of saying thanks. Together, let's show our fellow firefighters that we've got their back just like they always have ours. Thank you for listening. Let's get started with the episode.